Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Look, Americans cherish freedom, right? We generally don't want the government telling us what we have to do. But we're also a people that are capable of making rational and logical decisions for ourselves when we're provided clear and accurate information. And so instead of spending time telling people what we're going to make them do to prevent the spread of COVID, here's some facts that I think people can make decisions based on. There's a new COVID variant, and it's spreading much faster than the original one because it's easier to catch. Now, if you are vaccinated, your chances of getting it are a lot lower than if you're not vaccinated. And if you're vaccinated and you still get it, which you can, your chances of winding up in the hospital are incredibly low.
That right there, kids and kittens, is called sound advice. What do Americans want? Well, we like our freedoms, we like our liberties, and we like the opportunity to make decisions for ourselves. All we ask the government to do is, please, for the love of all that is kind and sweet, just present us with the facts. And by the way, when I mean present us with the facts, give us the best facts that you have at the times without politics, not based on emotion. Think of this. Imagine if Spock was delivering you the facts. Okay? So here comes Spock in his Spock-like ways. And I like the old school Spock, Leonard Nimoy. That's just me. But he comes and he delivers to you the most logical thing. Not based on politics. Just straightforward, as boring as can be. Here are the facts. If you have this vaccine, the chances of you going to the hospital are virtually nil. The chances of you dying are so minuscule that you not taking this would be what? Illogical. That's it. Just give me the facts. It's all I want. I don't want you giving me facts based on the politics of your time, based on the facts that you want power, based on the fact that you think as a what was once a physician but is now a politicician, which is you're a politician and a physician. You're telling me certain things. I don't want any of that. I want you to deliver the facts to me, then let me make the decision for myself and for my family. Mr. Rubio, could you please continue?
But if you're not vaccinated, you may get it. You may have just a miserable experience, but you'll be okay. But if you're not vaccinated, there's also a chance that you could wind up in a hospital. Even, by the way, if you're otherwise healthy. We're seeing that now. Now, as for children and teenagers, the chances are that if they get it, they're going to be fine after a few days. But unlike the first wave of COVID, we are seeing children in hospitals and even in intensive care. And that's something we didn't see the first time around.
Okay, again, delivering to us logical facts and data. Not rolling out the politics. If you have no idea who little Marco is there, Marco Rubio, you would have said to yourself, well, this guy seems like somebody who's kind of on the ball. Right? Just telling me a little something I want to know. Tell me about this. Kids are getting it a little bit easier. By the way, kids are getting it extremely easy, as is everybody else.
In just the last week, pediatric cases climbing to 94,000, and children with COVID are going into hospitals at a rate nearly 4 times higher than just a month ago. The Delta surge prompting the American Academy of Pediatrics to call on the FDA to authorize vaccines for 5 to 11-year-olds as fast as possible.
Oh, yeah. Why is that? Because it's, again, easier to catch. The net is bigger. That's it. We want the freedom to choose. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. I'll continue to pound this into people's heads. We, as a nation, don't always cherish our freedoms. We take all too often for granted. But with all of these mighty freedoms, with all of these powers that we have, for all of the things that we have, let us not forget we have personal responsibility, and that includes us not being Richards to each other. It shouldn't be hard, but it is, because we live in a world of I want to be right all the time. Every once in a great while, you can scroll by something, right? On Twitter, yeah, look at this. Oh, this person said that. Well, that's completely wrong. You know what? Scroll by it. But I'm going to... Relax. scroll by it. Every once in a while, somebody is going to say something at work that you think, you know what? Jim, how's the kids this weekend? Did you guys have fun? Your daughter going off to college? Yeah. You don't have to get into something. Every once in a while, you say to yourself, part of the responsibility that I have personally is, yes, to make sure that if my work asks me to wear a mask, then I do that. That my neighbors, right, and the people that I work with and the people that I come in contact with, I do everything I can at this moment in time with this thing being the way it is, that I do the best I can to mitigate it because we're going to get ourselves out of it. But that also includes the fact that I don't have to always be right. Even if you are right, sometimes you say to yourself, it's not worth it. It's not. That's part of that personal responsibility that isn't talked about enough when we talk about our Constitution and the freedoms that we have.
Now, look, those are the facts based on what we know about COVID right now. In America, you are free to decide what you want to do with that information. I personally think it makes sense to get vaccinated, and I personally hope that more people will decide to do it, because what it would mean is that there'd be less people being locked up at home for 10 days, less people having to go to the hospital, and frankly, less people would be dying from a disease that they do not have to die from.
Yeah. That right there are the three best pieces of sound advice from a person who the Republicans always get that you guys are climate deniers and you don't believe in science and you don't believe in this. Well, I have news for you. When this thing came about, the coronavirus, science was beyond politicized, more so than climate change, which is amazing because climate change is so politicized. And we're going to touch on that in a little bit. But those are just facts. Facts are, if you get the vaccine, chances of you dying are slim to none, even if you are somebody who's susceptible in situations because you have compromised immune system, comorbidities. As a child, even though, yes, children are going to the hospital a little bit faster, the reality is the chances of children dying from this are slim. Very, very slim. Just give me the facts, all right? I don't need to know everything else. I don't. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. All that being said, there are other things going on in the world. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but they're trying to get through a giant infrastructure bill. I mean, it is a massive infrastructure bill. And as always, it is something that they're going to be fighting with for days and weeks, no matter what anybody says, partly because the progressives are pissed because it's never enough.
We have come to an agreement for final passage of the bipartisan infrastructure proposal. This is a very good day. After all, the long, hard negotiating, the stops and starts, we're here.
Yeah, that sounds great. Stop, start, stop, start, stop. All that being said, the progressives are not thrilled. Why? Well, there's not enough, right? There's not enough. And we still have lots of fighting to do, but there's a ton of money. And the reason I bring this up is because with the growth and spread of this variant of the virus, the reality is who knows what's going to take place? Who knows how governments are going to react? The federal government continues to punt things like student loans, the moratorium on rent. They're throwing more money out there. All of these things are happening. Means people are having to come up with money. And I'm waiting for the next round of, okay, you know what? This thing was not quite where we thought we were going to be. We're going to have to do something about it. So based on those things, we're going to have to maybe start giving more people money, because you know there are people out there. I saw last week Ilhan Omar has a bill. By the way, we'll touch on that. The name alone says everything you need to know about what she's throwing out. But can I just say, the squad misses Donald Trump so much. So much. And that sounds weird, but it's true. So with infrastructure, what do we have?
The bipartisan bill is on the one track, and the other has a much larger budget bill. It's not, bipartisan at all. It's $3.5 trillion in spending, and it contains lots of things in the Democratic agenda. No tax hikes for anyone making $400,000 or less.
Most people are like, well, that seems fine. $3.5 trillion is a lot of dollars. And we all know government's not good at counting. So usually you can add probably, who knows what, an extra trillion onto that. On top of everything else, they're going to try to pass that through reconciliation, essentially trying to get, all they're trying to do is get around the filibuster. And the Republicans need to be aware of this moving forward. If you go out and you do a bipartisan bill and behind you, they, through reconciliation, throw something else out there that you wouldn't have agreed with, as you heard in the 2-track way, one track is this one, the other track, and you knew they were going to do this, that is a you issue. That is a you issue. And I think what Biden's looking at is like, hey, you know what? We can't do this. We got midterms coming up, and this may sound like something great to do. Here's the reality of the thing. We're going to get our asses handed to us, which is a normal thing, but we're going to not even be in the game in midterms next year if we go out and we promise one thing and then go right behind everybody else and essentially write the commercials for the Republicans to get people out of office. And then he's looking at 2 years of a nightmare. Here's the one thing I know about Biden. You guys can say he's an idiot, he's a moron, whatever. I don't play. I'm not here for that. What I will tell you is he is as I call him, a corporatocrat. He's as much corporate Democrat as people would think that the Republicans are. Go look at opensources.com. See who gives to both sides. You'd be surprised. Go and see who some of his advisors are. Like, weren't you at Goldman Sachs? Were you at Halliburton? Oh, yeah, Raytheon, I know you. He gets it. He does. Doesn't mean he'll have the power to stop some of this stuff, because you never know what Schumer and them are going to do. But I will tell you this. It is something to pay attention to, because it's going to cost us big time. And to think that they're going to throw all this money out there and nobody but a select few are going to have to pay is a bunch of crap. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Rough Greens makes all the pet food better. Love Rough Greens. Give it to my dog all the time. Doodle. Also give it to my puppies. And you know what? Everybody says, do you ever give it to my dog, Winston? Because it's got vitamins, vegetables, minerals, all that stuff. I say yes, every once in a while. Merle, who's our giant tortoise, and Winston, who are best friends, they fight crime out back together. We will sprinkle on top of some of their food, and they eat it up. It's got vitamins, vegetables, minerals, but it's great for my dog because it helps with their joint pain. And let me tell you something. I look over at Doodle and see a different life. I was laying there last night, and he came up, and he was laying there next to me, and I was petting him. And I'm thinking to myself, he probably should have been put to sleep last year if it wasn't for this. And he's probably got another 2 or 3 years, 4 years left in him. And I love that, because as much as he could have been cantankerous, he's still my little dude, and I love him. So if you love your animals like I love my animals, get yourself some Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad. It's a free bag. That's right, a free bag. You cover the cost of shipping. They send it to you free. Or call 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Helen Keller is a Nazi terrorist that is a male. Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of Hitler?
Who's Hitler?
Vaccines work, but only the Chad Benson Show is 100% effective against stupidity.
Do you know what D-Day is? D-Day.
A person? A rapper?
God, Karen, you are so stupid.
Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and wherever you find your favorite woke-free podcasts. This is the Chad Benson Show.
So, Prince Andrew's got some issues. I think you guys know that. The whole Epstein thing. Think about the fallout of Epstein. The people being caught up in the web, the people that are being caught up, and that we're still going to probably find out in some way, shape, or form down the line they're going to be caught up in this. But Prince Andrew has been kind of one of the big focuses of this. And now, lawsuit time.
Jeffrey Epstein lent out Virginia Giuffre for sexual purposes to Prince Andrew, who the lawsuit said committed sexual assault and battery upon her when she was 17 years old. Prince Andrew has denied any sexual contact or relationship with Giuffre and has suggested a widely seen photograph of the two could have been doctored. Giuffre's lawsuit said she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew at the direction of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell has called Giuffre a liar. The lawsuit sought unspecified damages from the royal.
Yeah, now, he is denying this, of course, as he would do. Just don't me. I didn't do anything like that. I'm a prince. So why would I do anything? I have everything I could ever dream of. I have a castle, and I'm called Prince, and of course there's the thing where, like, I can get whatever I want.
Prince Andrew facing a new lawsuit filed by Jeffrey Epstein accuser Virginia Roberts Giuffre, claiming the prince sexually abused her when she was 17.
That's the big part right there. When she was 17. That right there is huge, because you're underage, and a lot of this also has to do with statute of limitations, but also, where were you? Were you on a place? Were you on an isle? Were you in a jurisdiction that says, well, wait a minute here. This has nothing to do with us. This has to do with this island or this jurisdiction. This isn't us. Now, what happens normally in something like this? Well, they'll say, I'm above any of these things, so you can't come after me because I am, the prince. Could they settle?
It would be surprising if this filing doesn't trigger serious settlement discussions, as a public trial would not be on Prince Andrew's wish list. But the accuser's lawyer says the prince has ignored repeated requests to discuss an out-of-court resolution of the allegations.
So, yeah. Did he? I don't know. Would I be surprised? No. Nothing surprises me anymore. Not in politics or the world or where people have power. Nothing surprises me. You know what I'm mostly surprised about? Where people have power and they show a deft touch. Where people have power and they don't abuse it. That, to me, is surprising. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
If you allow the virus to freely circulate in 93 million people and give it the opportunity to find vulnerable targets, you give it the opportunity to mutate and form another variant. A virus will not mutate unless you allow it to replicate. And whatever you can do to prevent it from spreading, even though vaccines are not perfect, they're an extraordinarily powerful tool in prevent the spread within the community. The more you prevent the spread, the less likelihood that the virus will mutate.
Dr. Fauci there. He's right. Could you imagine? 93 million people. Are you kidding me? Look, is this thing going anywhere? No. It's not. We've been saying it for a long time. Endemic, not pandemic, meaning it's here. It's not going anywhere. This is going to be something like the flu. Will it become seasonal? Or is this something that just lingers about all the time? I think eventually maybe it becomes something seasonal, but that may take a while. And it's not just because of the United States of America. We act like we're it, right? Like if we solved it, then the rest of the world's going to be fine. The rest of the world is battling this thing in their own ways. Some of them are doing okay. Others aren't. Others aren't doing, they're choosing to go at it in a much different way. Even people that have access, westernized, modern societies have access to all of these things that we have access to as far as not just the data, the science, but also the vaccines. And they're still going at it in a different way. This is Dr. Larry Brilliant. See what he did there? His name is Brilliant. I like that. He's one of the foremost epidemiologists in the world, talking about this virus in particular this variant?
The reason we called it the forever virus is that it will become something like influenza, which is also a forever virus. It doesn't mean that it will occupy our attention and take all the oxygen out of the air and dominate the conversation forever. But this new variant, the Delta variant, it's different. This is maybe the most contagious virus that we've ever seen in living memory.
Yeah, think about that. Potentially. And again, science changes. We could find something tomorrow that's far more contagious. But this may be the most contagious virus in history. Last week we talked about it. We broke down things like the chicken pox, the original Spanish flu, the original coronavirus, and measles, and they start breaking down all of the things that are super contagious. And lo and behold, you look at this thing, and it is arguably the most contagious thing ever. The beauty of where we live in the modern history and time of which we live. Think about this. We're arguing with people. Hey, man, get a shot. Worst case scenario, it keeps you alive. But no, that's not the worst case scenario, Chad. You don't even know, dude. I could turn into a house plant. You know, I mean, that's the silliness that goes on. But the reality is you have the freedom to choose. And again, this goes back to what we talk about. Responsibility. Responsibility. Not only to yourself, right? You take responsibility for yourself, but also the responsibility, just like as a parent, that you don't send your kids out there to be a-holes to the world. That's my goal. It's like, if my kids arrive at adulthood and they're not a-holes to the world, that to me is a win. That to me is a win. The one thing about this thing is the speed of it makes it so it moves through everybody faster. But then the question always becomes, and this is how we can't live our life in fear, is what's around the corner.
This disease is so infectious and is so rapid to infect everybody that even including that some vaccinated people are also infected, it basically runs out of candidates to be infected very quickly. That may mean that this is a 6-month phenomenon in a country rather than a 2-year phenomenon. But I do caution people that this is the Delta variant, and we've not run out of Greek letters, so there may be more to come.
Yeah. Now, they're going to say that, and part of the reason they say that, as an epidemiologist, as a medical professional, as a scientist, is because they want to make sure they cover their bases. But could there be more to come? Of course there could be. But remember what I said earlier. We live in a time when everything is politicized. We live in a time when every single thing that you can find is politics. When every single thing out there it doesn't matter what it is. You can take a picture of a rock and put it out there, and somebody's going to argue over whether it's a Republican rock, a Democratic rock. Is it a progressive rock, or is it a conservative rock? Is it soft rock? It's not soft rock. That would be yacht rock. I love yacht rock. I got a confession for you guys. I freaking love yacht rock. It's like my favorite channel to listen to. If you've never listened to it, you're just driving. I do a lot of driving in the middle of godforsaken nowhere. So I like having, the satellite radio, and yacht rocks and yacht rock. You can also get it on like Pandora and stuff like that. And it's just all these amazing, great, like 70s, early 80s, it's like Kenny Loggins, you got Michael McDonald, Christopher Cross was like the king of yacht rock. It's great. But we could argue about that. Like, oh my God, did you hear about that? Like even now, right? We have old rock stars arguing over, this guy's an idiot and that guy's an idiot because he's an anti-vaxxer, Van Morrison and Eric Clapton or blah, blah. You're just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to argue over this stuff. Here's the data. Here's my responsibility to myself and what I think is best for me. I will go for there. But what I will do, and I promise, is I will not be a Richard to my neighbor or to other people who believe differently. Unless somehow they impede on me, meaning they're coming over at my house at 2 a.m. and yelling at me. Then we're going to have issues. Speaking of politics, you guys ready to dance? Why not? It's Tuesday.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here.
Oh, yeah.
I should be back in school. On the other side of the ocean.
Yeah.
Yet, you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams, my childhood, with your empty words. How dare you come here saying that you're doing enough? Right here, right now, is where we draw the line.
One more!
Right here, right now, 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 right now, right here, right now.
Oh, Chad, that's pretty good. I know, right? Think if I could for Pablo. And we rock this thing. That is, of course, your best friend and mine, Greta Thunberg. And Greta rocking it, talking about the thing that, well, Greta is passionate about. And let's be honest for a second, right? I got zero problems with passion. I love it. Sometimes it's misguided, and I think the problem with Greta is everybody's held her up to a standard that has nothing to do with what Greta's passion's about. They've turned her into something, but they've politicized her, and they've politicized, yes, I'm going to say it, climate change. So yesterday, the IPCC, that's the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, came out and, of course, did what they did. So this is the big UN thing, right? They've come out. They're like, there's nothing you could do. The world is coming to an end. Everything's on fire. There's nothing we can ever do to stop it, ever. It's on fire. There is no returning from whence we have come. It's over. Period. Case closed. End of story. Selwyn Hart.
Now is not the time for excuses or for delayed action. We need to see bold actions from all governments.
Bold actions from all governments. Why is that? Why? Tell me, Selwyn.
We will win or lose this race over the course of the next decade if we don't reduce emissions, if we don't have emissions by the end of this decade.
So we got to reduce emissions. Now, you guys know me. I look at science and I say, yeah, I definitely think that we as human beings, there's 7 billion of us on this planet. We have built giant structures. We have done all kinds of stuff to this planet. We have, we have plundered and pilfered all kinds of things from this planet. And at the same time, the planet continues to go on and on. But we need to do better. How do we do better without making it political? You can't. That's the problem. Because one group would say, like, we'd love to do better. We need to do better. How do we get there? I've always said the people on the climate change is going to destroy us thing. You guys are missing out. You want to get the conservatives and businesses on your side? Talk about how much money you can make if that's what it takes to get them over there. On the other side of things, if you want to get the people over there who are all about climate change but don't see the bigger picture, talk about the control that other people's wants and how they're using them to try to gain that power. Somewhere in the middle is the truth, but we definitely have to do something to better ourselves. But to think that we're going to go off all of these things in the next several days, several months, or several years altogether with stuff that's not yet fully reliable, you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. There are plenty of countries around the world who have non-reliable energy. That's not who we are. But what we can do is use technology, make big brains, get the big brains together. So use that technology, use all of these incredible scientists, technology, information, and data to help build a much better and cleaner environment. At the end of the day, as we see with nature messing everybody up, I mean, look what's going on right now. Coronavirus, right? Little bit of nature, maybe a little bit of help from some other things, but the reality is at some point in time, the earth will shake us off. So that's something else to think about. But when you watch these things, when you hear people talk about whether it's the coronavirus, whether it's any of the other stuff that you see out there, like when you think, I'm not quite sure if I believe any of those things. I always say this when you watch politics. At the end of the this candidate's awful, this candidate's horrible, vote for this candidate. Always see who paid for the ad. Meaning always see whose paycheck comes from a certain group, and you'll find out what it's really all about. That's the thing that matters. Who's behind it will say a lot more than what it's all about. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from each and every single one of you. Oh, my goodness. He's not even the host of Jeopardy, and they're already thinking about canceling. We'll touch on that. A lot of good stuff, kids. Thanks for paying attention to the little dog and pony show. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
Jeopardy executive producer and possible pick to replace Alex Trebek, Mike Richards, on Monday addressed a scandal that's resurfacing where several years ago he was part of a discrimination lawsuit at The Price is Right, accused of saying some hurtful things about a model who was pregnant and then lost her job. In a memo to Jeopardy staff, Richards says he would never say anything to disrespect anyone's pregnancy. The lawsuit was eventually settled. In the memo, Richards also confirms he was asked if he would consider hosting Jeopardy, but says no final decision has been made.
Yeah, so already the cancel has begun with this guy. So what took place? That's the big thing. I always go back to this, right? Apparently it happened in 2010. It was settled in 2016. Brandy Cochran became pregnant. By the way, you don't become pregnant. It's like you're walking down the street and you're like, yeah, did you hear that you became pregnant? No, I didn't know. There was a thing that took place. When a man and woman love each other, or on a drunken night and binge foolishness and bad choices. I don't think that was this. And apparently they said there was a hostile reaction when she became pregnant. According to the lawsuit, she revealed she was crying. She was upset over time. She was carrying twins. Richards put his hand on his face and he asked twice, he said, in a tone that seemed to be demeaning. Twins? Are you serious? Twins? You're serious. Now I could say, twins? Are you serious? Twins? I don't know if that's demeaning. Could be to some people. After that, she was booked to work less often, was repeatedly taken out of acts that she would have normally appeared on. I don't know if that makes it discrimination. Now, if there's more of these things that pop out, well, then you ask a question about a hostile work environment. In saying that, you also look around and you go, well, hold on a second. People could accuse people of just about anything. Doesn't make it so. And it also doesn't make him a good dude. He could be an awful human being. We could find that out. That 50 women come out of like, just every nook and cranny you could find of working in the entertainment industry, working for this guy, and say, let me tell you something. Or you might get people to go, yeah, it really wasn't that way. But if the reaction was twins, are you serious? Twins? Twins? And that was the reaction? And that's all that everything was based upon? Ugh. I always wonder, why do these things come out at a certain time? And that goes back to, I think, what Joe Rogan said a couple weeks ago, which is the punishment culture that we live in. The punishment culture is this culture where people aren't interested in anything other than retribution. They're not interested in anything other than that. So when you look at somebody like, we were talking yesterday a bit about this. Take, for instance, was it last year, this guy's making his major league debut. He's like 20 years old. His family's there. And somebody releases or tweets some stuff about him that he said supposedly on a video game when he was 12 or 13. And then it becomes a giant, huge thing. And I'm like, you waited till then? You're not interested in anything. Like, you're carrying around something? Why would you do that? Why? And we were talking yesterday about Louis, because Louis C.K. is getting ready to go on tour. And I always ask myself, is there a place in this world for forgiveness for people? Somebody said, could you forgive Louis? I'm like, Louis didn't do anything to me. Louis doesn't have to apologize to me. Louis has to apologize to the people he hurt. At no point in time did Louis ever hurt me. He didn't. And he didn't hurt you unless you were part of whatever happened. That's it. The people that are owed an apology, those are the people that, in many cases, should decide, you know what, you need to go live your life, but we don't. Now as a society, I think we just want to punish. That's what we're more interested in, crushing and punishing, than we are actually saying to ourselves, this could be a learning moment. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Delta variant spreading, hitting children. Still very slim chance of your child going to the hospital, but the reality is it is spreading. Text the program 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, your Instagram, Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Look, Americans cherish freedom, right? We generally don't want the government telling us what we have to do. But we're also people that are capable of making rational and logical decisions for ourselves when we're provided clear and accurate information. And so instead of spending time telling people what we're going to make them do to prevent the spread of COVID, here's some facts that I think people can make decisions based on. There's a new COVID variant, and it's spreading much faster than the original one because it's easier to catch. Now, if you are vaccinated, your chances of getting it are a lot lower than if you're not vaccinated. And if you're vaccinated and you still get it, which you can, your chances of winding up in the hospital are incredibly low.
That is Marco Rubio. I will tell you guys this, and I will continue to beat it into everybody's heads as I beat it into mine. Because sometimes I forget stuff. Sometimes I don't understand. Even the things I talk about, sometimes I think to myself, oh my God, that's great advice. I should take it. Because everybody does that, right? Everybody gets great advice. And you're thinking to yourself, why don't you take that advice? We have this amazing Constitution. We have this incredible piece of paper that through its spirit and what it was written on guarantees us certain things. And we have liberties and we have freedoms. But all too often we forget that with those things comes personal responsibility. What I'm trying to say is, hey, government, give us the facts, give us the data. Employers and businesses, right, municipalities, schools, they should be able to make up their mind on how they want to pursue certain things when it comes to dealing with this. But outside of all of that, let us, as human beings, as Americans, as people who have liberty and freedom and who should cherish it, but all too often we don't, let us make up our own mind what's best for our family. But then comes this responsibility part. Oh, I knew it. Stop being an a-hole. Stop being a Richard. Stop looking over and saying, you're wearing a mask, well, you're foolish. Stop looking over somebody who's not wearing a mask and go, they must not believe in, climate change and the vaccine. No. Every once in a great while, scroll by something. Every once in a great while, bite your tongue. Right? Just say, I can control what I can control, which is this. This is my family. This is my circle. I'm going to take the vaccine or I'm not going to take the vaccine. And if I don't, I'm also going to be cognizant and aware the person next to me may be very worried about this virus. I don't know what their situation is. Maybe their mother's living with them and she's got a compromised immune system and she's going through, cancer treatments. And you know what? I'm going to be aware of that. I'm going to be aware of that. Even if you think, I think this thing's not real, you can still respect somebody else believing that it is. Do you think it's real? Of course I think it's real, you dumbass. Well, Chad, you're talking to you. I know that. Nobody else is here. But do I think it's been overblown? Of course. But I also know something about this. This thing's easier to catch, meaning it's not more deadly. But when your net's bigger, you're going to hook more fish, you're going to catch more fish, you're going to bring more fish in because that net's way bigger. And that's exactly what we have here, meaning more people are going to get sick. Now, the good news is we're getting a lot of people vaccinated. I don't think the vaccines are bad. I don't think they're going to, but that's a personal choice. And that's where all those people out there believes everybody should be mandated to be vaccinated. Sorry, there's a personal choice of what we have here. Now, the government, despite everybody else thinking, oh, no, they don't have any rights to do so, they actually do. They do. Local governments have a ton of stuff that they can do where they can go, you know what? I'm suspending this portion of the Constitution at this moment in time because this is for the betterment of everybody. This thing. We're not there, and I don't think we're ever going to get there. But if we could show a little kindness, a little patience, and have some common sense in the way we approach this thing, I bet you we get out of it a lot quicker. Or the alternative, which is everybody's an asshat and fights like cats and dogs. I wonder which one people will go with.
But if you're not vaccinated, you may get it. You may have just a miserable experience, but you'll be okay. But if you're not vaccinated, there's also a chance that you could wind up in a hospital. Even, by the way, if you're otherwise healthy. We're seeing that now. Now, as for children and teenagers, the chances are that if they get it, they're going to be fine after a few days. But unlike the first wave of COVID, we are seeing children in hospitals and even in intensive care. And that's something we didn't see the first time around.
Yeah, that is true. I know that's fake. No, it's not fake. It's real. That is true. Kids are getting it much, much, much faster at a higher rate. The chances of them dying, though, are still fairly slim. But yeah, they are catching it much faster.
In just the last week, pediatric cases climbing to 94,000, and children with COVID are going into hospitals at a rate nearly 4 times higher than just a month ago. The Delta surge prompting the American Academy of Pediatrics to call on the FDA to authorize vaccines for 5 to 11-year-olds as fast as possible.
Yeah. And that's where you'll have to make that decision again as a parent. I know a lot of parents who are really pro-vaccine, but when it comes to that for their kids, they're a little bit more hesitant. Why? Because as an adult, you can make a certain decision that you're responsible for yourself. Giving it to your child, you're thinking to yourself, I know the risk. I understand. Do I totally understand the risk in this? We'll get out of this thing. But I remind you again and again, personal responsibility is great. And too many people out there scream, I want to be responsible for my own life. I want to make my own choices. And when given the opportunity to make your own choices, you make your choices. And I'm not going to sit here and go, well, you shouldn't have made that choice. You shouldn't have made that. That's what parents do. But what I will say is when you make a choice, it doesn't need to be thrown in your neighbor's face, and you don't need to throw it in your neighbor's face, and they shouldn't throw their choices in your face, and they shouldn't fight over it. If we can eliminate a portion of that, you'd be surprised how far we could go. But we can't, because everybody's want in life is to be right on everything. Everything. To be right on everything. People will hope, hey, if you didn't get the vaccine, I hope you get sick, and you'll see. Right. And then the other side, people who didn't get the vaccine think, well, I hope you've got the vaccine. You know, your livers don't fall out in 6 months. That's where we are. That's not going to get us from point A to point B. The wheel is coming off the bus fast. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. So the Olympics are over. All the hooting, all the hollering, all the stuff is done. It's been put away. Now the standing back and looking at NBC and thinking to self, What'd we get ourselves into?
The final Olympics ratings are in, and they're down big time from Rio in 2016, off 42%, the least watched Summer Olympics since NBC started airing them in 1988. Just 15.5 million people watched in primetime each night on average, 10 million a night fewer than Rio. NBC says the pandemic and postponement are possible factors, but promises they'll make money off the Olympics.
How? I don't know. That you're going to make money. Two things. Either you're totally lying or, man, that accounting in Hollywood is crazy. And if you've never seen a Hollywood accounting, just know if you have a chance to get a Hollywood accountant, you will be very happy with what they can do for you. You will be very happy. You will be so happy. The famous story of the movie The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. I don't know how much money it made. It made a gaggle full of money. And they probably have that guy or gal doing. So that movie came out in 1994. And I always find this stuff funny. So The Santa Claus comes out in 1994, which seems like eons ago, if I'm correct. Box office was almost $200 million. Budget was $22 million. They took a loss. You're like, what? Yeah, they took a loss. Yeah, I don't know. No, I didn't. I think same thing. Was it Coming to America? Same thing. Another Hollywood accounting story. So maybe NBC will make some money off it. How? We don't know. We made $1. We didn't lose. Yeah, but what are your advertisers doing? Because I don't think they're thrilled by those sweet numbers. Losing 10 million viewers over another Olympic that wasn't great, that's not a win. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. MyPillow has towels. Towels. So, it was raining today out here. I could have used a towel. It was pouring. If I had my MyPillow towel with me, which I didn't because I don't carry a towel with me in the car. It's a weird thing to do. These are great towels. You get a 6-piece towel set currently. $40, $39.99, normally $110. With that, you get 2 big towels, you get 2 hand towels, you get 2 pack of washcloths. 60-day money-back guarantee. Cotton's grown right here in the United States of America. Proprietary technology has made them so they're super absorbent and non-lotiony. They soak up the water without that weird kind of like sliding off you kind of thing. You will love these things. Great assortment of colors. Take a run at these bad dogs, along with all the other great stuff that MyPillow has. And remember this, MyPillow, made in America. So much of that stuff is made right here or grown right here, and that is a wonderful thing. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Great deals and discounts across all of the MyPillow products. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let uns take peek on the interwebs, find out what's trending. Yeah, whoops. Start over in the magical world of Google. That's right. Christina Applegate trending. She is revealed she has multiple sclerosis, which sucks. Talk about somebody who was, think about Christina Applegate. We watched her grow up because she, you know, and let's, for all intents and purposes, her claim to fame is she was like a sex symbol and married with children. Like every young guy's like, oh my God, she's so hot. So, but she's revealed she's got multiple sclerosis. Bachelorette finals trending yesterday. Saweetie has a meal that's arrived at McDonald's. We got a good McDonald's story. Somebody sued McDonald's because the commercials enticed them to come in. What? Reservation Dogs. This is a new show that it is, well, it's going to be very interesting to check out the show, but it's essentially, as it sounds, a show for Native Americans. these kids growing up in what they call, on a reservation and kind of living their life, doing their thing, and it looks kind of interesting. Joe Buck is trending. Why is that? Because he's the last celebrity guest host before they make the announcement. But so far, Mike Richards is in the lead. But obviously, the news coming out about him, who is the executive producer, where something happened when he was producing The Price is Right, and it was settled. But so Joe Buck is going to be hosting the magical Jeopardy. Then you head on over to Twitter, where people fight over nothing, because that's part of the fun of what's going on. And COVID is trending, because COVID will continue to trend. The battle over masks are still. The battle over things like should kids wear masks in school is going to go on. It's not going anywhere. Dominion voting systems trending because they have sued One American News and Newsmax, saying they defamed the voting machine company by spreading conspiracy theories that rigged the 2020 election. Each lawsuit seeks more than $1.6 billion with the B in damages. No way. Yeah. That's a lot. That is a lot. And AMC stock and AMC are trending, partly because AMC's decided they're going to do a little something, kind of something with Warner Brothers. On top of that, they're talking about, Bitcoins. Really crazy.
This past weekend, Warner Brothers debuted The Suicide Squad in theaters and streaming on HBO Max at the same time.
We're all gonna die.
Enjoy it while you can. AMC says it struck a deal with the studio to return to the old way of doing things next year. Starting in 2022, all Warner Brothers movies will play exclusively in theaters for 45 days before moving to streaming or any other platform. That's a change from the pandemic era, but a significant shortening of the pre-pandemic theater exclusivity, which was 90 days. AMC, the largest movie theater chain in the world, says it's in talks with every other major studio for similar deals.
Yeah, and this is where the studios are going to be in situations where they may have to, even though they own all these platforms, and a lot of what they're doing is trying to get people to come to the platforms like Disney Plus and Paramount Plus and HBO, and like you look at all these ones now. The issue is, well, twofold. First, I want to return to movies. Do I think we need to wait forever for these things to come out? No, I think after 30 days you could think about releasing them. The second thing is if you're going to release them simultaneously, I'm sure the studios are going to say, hey, we're doing this, we own these platforms. Yeah, but now you want us to play this movie here. Sorry, that's not going to happen. They may have to come up with something there. Because the way that it works now is, so let's say for the sake of argument, your movie's opening this weekend, across the nation. In past, the way it works is like 90% of the ticket goes back to the studio, 10% or so, sometimes less, a little bit more, but right around there, stays with the theater owner. And the longer it runs, it equals itself out. The next week it might only be 70%. The next week it might be 50-50. They may say, fine, if you want to do that, you want to do it simultaneously, we're taking this cut. And what that does is it hurts the artist, because a lot of these guys and gals, they're taking less because they want more on the back end of performance. So it's good to see that they're fighting over something. But the reality is, at this moment in time, I like the fact that I can stay at home and watch some of these things, because it only costs me nothing for HBO Max outside of my $10. It only cost me $20 for that movie, The Jungle Cruise. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
is a humanitarian catastrophe that's now unfolding in the South, even before school starts. And as schools act as that accelerant, you should assume that we're going to see pediatric intensive care units all across the South completely overwhelmed. And something, even a possibility of small tent cities of sick adolescents and kids. And I don't want to see that happen. I know nobody does. We somehow have to get the word out to parents that this Delta is something different. And it is picking off young people like we've never seen.
Settle down there. Dr. Peter Hotz, a little fear-mongering there. Here's the thing. If I thought for a moment, for a hot second, for like a minute second, that this thing was at the point that going to school, knowing that, hey, you guys are sending your kids to school and, over the case of the next several weeks and months, several of them are going to die from this. You know what? People aren't going to send their kids to school. They're not. Yeah, but they could wear masks. No, that's not good. You're asking a child, and I don't care how responsible. We can't even get people that are adults to wear masks the proper way. I'm one. I'm frustrated as hell at the damn thing. Wear it around my chin, and when no one's around, quite frankly, I don't wear it anywhere. I see people walk through here when there's nobody on my side of the building. So our building is separated in two. I come in the morning, my side of the building, this side of the building is pretty awesome because nobody's here but me. Throughout the day, guess who's here? Nobody. They'll have a big conference room, they'll use it. But I'll see people walk by, go into the big conference room. They haven't seen or won't see anybody, and they're wearing a mask. Like, that's insane. It's nuts. So I don't wear my mask unless I'm actually around human beings. But I also see people wearing their mask wrong. So you're asking me to tell my 11-year-old son that wearing this mask, your life depends upon it because this thing's that dangerous. If that is absolutely true, then I think it's best that kids don't go back to school. Well, what I'm trying to point out is are there going to be issues? Yes, there are going to be issues. There's issues with every single thing. We don't do this with the flu. And yes, the flu over the same period of time is more deadly. The Delta variant, like everything else, though, it's easier to catch. My stepkids, my son, they had it for like 5 minutes. Jack literally had it in the morning. Then I don't feel good. By the evening, he's like, I'm going to go outside. I'm like, okay, I guess you feel fine. We all had it. This thing, yes, easier to catch, but it is not more deadly. Same thing for adults. Easier to catch, not more deadly. But the net is wider. That's what you have to remember. Are there going to be issues? Yes, there are some issues already. Especially, yes, even with kids, there are issues when it comes to them being infected. They're growing at in some cases, an alarming rate. Yeah, they are. But is it anything to worry about where you think to yourself, man, I can't send my kid to school? It's a crapshoot. I don't think anybody would do that to their child. If they thought they were sending their kids to freaking slaughter, do you think that they're going to do that? Hell no!
In Jacksonville, Florida, 12-year-old Lila Hartley wants masks in schools to protect her 10-year-old brother who's too young to get the vaccine.
Even though I'm vaccinated, I can still get sick. Also, my younger brother I don't want to get him sick if I get it because I wasn't wearing a mask.
Arkansas's governor says that they just saw their largest single-day increase in hospitalizations, now down to just 8 ICU beds in a state of 3 million people.
Yeah, there are issues. And I understand. I think we all understand. But I think this is where we need to take a step back and let's separate fear-mongering and what makes for riveting television as far as the news media thinks and reality. Reality is chances of your child getting this thing and dying from it is very, very minute. The chances of your child, if they're over the age of 12 or whatever, you've got them vaccinated and dying from this is virtually nil. But if your child has underlying conditions, then maybe it's best to let this thing pass. It's about what? Making the right decision for you and your family based on the facts and the data at hand. And try to find as much of that I'm going to make a decision as possible. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. So this is interesting. You know, we got a lot of Karens, right? There's a lot of Karens out. There's different kinds of Karens. Now we've got competing Karens. Competing Karens. We got some over here who are upset because people got the vaccines. Some over here upset because people are wearing a mask. Some over here who don't want to wear a mask. Some over here who are mad at people who didn't get the vaccine. I mean, we got all kinds of Karens. We got the Keren in the, was a couple weeks ago in the old Victoria's Secrets, right? She fell to the ground, collapsed. Now we got the new and latest Keren. And this Keren is spectacular. Every time we turn around, you think this can't be beat. Well, this one can. Now, when you're driving down the street and you see some flags out there, people will point and say, hey, that flag means this. You know what the rainbow flag is. We know what, certain flags are. Everybody's got to have a flag. There a flag, here a flag, everywhere a flag. Well, what's this latest flag? Is it a dangerous flag? Does it mean something cultish? Or is this just a flag of Tigger?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I want to talk about this Tigger.
Okay.
I don't like it.
Okay, why not?
I thought the American flag was real nice.
Uh-huh.
I don't say nothing about the shrubbery being cut. I don't say nothing about the backyard. But now I don't like that.
Oh, okay, I didn't hang that. My brother hung that.
I know. I'm just telling you, I don't like it. And we have rules. I don't want to have to go find out what they are, but I don't like that.
This Tigger flag means I don't know. We got rules. First of all, obviously she's a Dollywood fan, but oh boy, let me tell you, don't screw with the mouse. That's all I'm saying. Tigger is a wonderful thing. The wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are wonderful things. They're bouncy, 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 bouncy. Secondly, who has the balls to do that? Obviously, this lady. I don't care about your backyard being a hot mess. I don't care about the noise and all the cars, and I'm just throwing stuff out. I don't care about your shrubbery not being shrubbed. But this is the line too far from me. This is a line too far from it. This is Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
I mean, this isn't a homeowners association, though.
No, but there's rules for the community. It's called Williamsburg something, and there's rules.
Okay.
So I'm just saying I don't like it.
All right.
It makes it look tacky.
Welcome.
Makes the neighborhood look tacky.
Really?
It doesn't, but that's okay.
Huh?
I said it doesn't, but it's okay. You're allowed your opinion.
Okay. I'm going to find out about it.
All right. Well, you have a good day.
So this was the offensive flag. Yes, it is Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
We've got rules. I'm going to go find them out. Don't make me read them because I got to go first learn how to read. Then I'm going to come after you with them rules. It makes us look tacky. I saw out the door. I don't know if the Tigger flag is the thing that makes the neighborhood look tacky. I think you showing up, ma'am, with your bad hair. Oh, Chad, that's not very nice. I'm just saying. You know what? You're going to fire at Tigger, right? Be prepared to be fired back at. I'm just letting you know that. When you take on Pooh, you take on the whole world. When you take on Pooh, you better watch out. You might get some on your shoe. When you take on Pooh, be prepared. Because Owl's coming, Piglet's coming, Eeyore's coming, and Eeyore's mad. Why? Because somebody nailed an tail on his ass. You ever watch that, think to myself, has nobody ever thought, you know what, I think I'm going to take that out? Oh, not very nice. This is that part we've talked about, and we continue to talk about. We're going to throw it at you all the time here. Sometimes in life, it's okay to scroll by something. Sometimes in life, it's okay to let the Tigger flag sit outside. Sometimes in life, it's okay to hear somebody that you disagree with, that you're just kind of hearing out of earshot, and you know them, and you want to go put in your 2 cents, but you think to yourself, you know what? This isn't the time or place. This isn't the hill to die upon. This isn't the battle that I need to fight today. The fact that you would go over to your neighbor's house and say, this Tigger thing is really making us all look bad around here. I'm like, what? I would come out tomorrow dressed as Tigger and just stand out there. That's what I would do. This is making us look tacky. Settle down. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. As many variants as there are, there's plenty of genders. We've got the latest gender of the day. The gender of the day. Oh, what is your hors d'oeuvre of the day? Well, no. Today is a gender Tuesday. We will talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to Chad. No, not the country. The institution. The Chad Benson Show.
No sophomore slump for Billie Eilish. Her second album, Happier Than Ever, debuts at number 1 on the Billboard 200 album chart. Billboard says it had the 5th best sales plus streaming week of the year so far. Eilish's first album also debuted at number 1 in 2019. Eilish bumped 17-year-old The Kid Laroi from the top spot. But Kid Laroi's song Stay with Justin Bieber has climbed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart. His first chart-topping single. Billboard points out Laroi is the first solo guy from Australia to hit number 1 since Rick Springfield with Jesse's Girl over 40 years ago.
Oh, look at that. Rick Springfield. Good eye there, Rick. Many people don't know he's from Australia. Yeah, you guys probably didn't know that, but Rick's from Australia. He's from down under. Yeah, he's an all right guy. Rick. You know, I mean, he did all the stuff where he was, in the soap operas and whatnot, but that's good for him. He was born in Sydney. Still looks good, by the way, for 71 years old. You're like, man, I'd like to look like that at 50. Oh, geez. Billie Eilish is number 1. Let me tell you where Trump is number 1. And this is interesting. The domination of books and book sales by people. You could write a children's book. And you're like, nobody's going to buy it. Just put Trump on it, and someone will buy it. Last week, New York Times bestseller list. I Can Alone Fix It. 124,000 copies. By the way, through July, that was like the book. What's it about? Oh, yeah, Trump. Frankly, we did win this election by Wall Street journalist Michael Bender. 75,000 copies. Hardcovers, ebooks, and audiobooks. Debuted at number 3. It's been on the list for 3 weeks. Landslide, Michael Wolff. Woof, woof. 3 weeks. Landslide sold 45,000 copies. He is a person who sucks the oxygen out of the room, but also, for a lot of people, gives them oxygen. I go and I look at Ilhan Omar and the Squad. Take a look at the Squad, right? What are the Squad without Trump? Nobody's really talking about it. I mean, if it wasn't for parts of the media focusing on things that they say and some of the wackiness out there, which is fine because you're reporting some of it, you wouldn't even know what's going on with them. He gave them Ariana Presley and he gave them like, oh my goodness me, here's the Squad. He gave them that fire that they needed. Speaking of Ilhan Omar, though, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about her new bill that she's trying to pass. And I'd like to get, it is incredible. Like some of the stuff that she wants to give people, right, is like she wants to give people like, yeah, we want to give these people $500 a month, and these people $1,600 a month, and these people $1,200 a month, and I'm thinking to myself, where's all this money come from? So here's the new thing she's rolling out. The stimulus checks would pay adults up to $1,200, $600 for children, proposed plan that Ilhan Omar is rolling out, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I thought I had to read it like 12 times. Like, there's no way. I had to go to like 4 places. Like, there's no way you're really calling this. There's no way. There's no way this could be. But here it is. You guys ready? So this new bill. The sending unconditional payments to the people overcoming resistances to Trump plan or support. You don't think that he's an industry? You don't think that there is something to it? You don't think? You put that in there. The sending unconditional payments to the people overcoming resistances to Trump plan or support? Man. So he wins in one thing, and that is books. I don't know if he's going to do a book. And what if you're Trump? What are you looking for to say in your book? Because you know him. Here's the one thing I think everybody knows about Trump. He's kind of wide open, right? He's kind of wide open. So if you know anything about Trump, and I think we all do, is this will be unfettered access to him to throw crazy stuff out there. But in a world of cancel culture, and we don't want that thing printed here, who's going to print it without people freaking out? We're quitting because we don't like the fact you took the president on. That is not something I think that he's going to do. And what kind of money would he ask for up front? What did Obama get, like 10 million, something like that? 12 million? You'd think Trump would be like, all right, who wants my book? I want $50 million up front. 50 million. 25 million. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Delta variant continuing to move forward as it does. Spreading fast enough that maybe it's going to run out of steam. There is a possibility of that. But the battles will continue because we've turned everything into politics rather than common sense. And doing that, it makes us divided rather than united. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
So, the Delta variant's here. We know that. What's next? We don't know what's next. I'll tell you this, though. I can't live in a world of freaking out. I can't. And you're going to hear a lot of that. You can be both cautious, have some common sense, but not live in fear. There's nothing wrong with that. Too often, I think the media likes a great story. And they need a great story. And we were just talking earlier about the fact that when you go and look at what's littering the best-selling pages of the New York Times bestseller list, a lot of it has to do with the drama that's surrounding the Trump presidency. Why? Because it's reality television. And reality television, if it bleeds, it leads, those kind of things. Nobody wants to watch two people have a nice dinner. There's nothing there, right? We want to watch the drama. That's what drags people to it, is the drama of whatever's going on. Coronavirus is real. It's here. But is it as deadly as ever before. Maybe worse. No, it's not. Is it infecting more kids? Yes, it is.
In just the last week, pediatric cases climbing to 94,000, and children with COVID are going into hospitals at a rate nearly 4 times higher than just a month ago. The Delta surge prompting the American Academy of Pediatrics to call on the FDA to authorize vaccines for 5 to 11-year-olds as fast as possible.
All right. As fast as possible. That's what they want. You hear this, and you hear the fear-mongering, and it's very, very frustrating. You know what we never hear, and I have this argument all the time with my, I do a local show with my on-air partner who is a guy who lives right now for making sure everybody gets the vaccine, wants to know everybody's status, and I'm like, dude, just let it go, right? Like it's somebody, just let it go, bro. Just let it go. I mean, that's their business, it's other people's business. And he gets, no, I think it's, we're not getting out of this thing because people are, they're not getting vaccinated and there should be mandates. And I'm like, man, you let it go. But did you see this person? Did you see that person? Look, and I said, you know what you don't see is the person go, yeah, I had it, but I didn't even know I had it. I just thought I had I ate something bad. Or I had a headache for a day and I went to sleep and woke up the next day, I felt fine. Other people, you don't, because there's nothing there. It's not entertaining. It's not. It's like, that's not exciting. Exciting and fearful. And remember, it's show busy. It's show business. How do I get people to watch? How do I get people to listen? How do I get people to share and like? How do I get people to follow and subscribe and to do all these things? There's got to be something to it. Right now it's kids. Kids are going back to school. Mask, to not mask. What should they do? What shouldn't they do? How many times can they wear a mask? When can we get mask in school? Can we have mask in school? Can we not have mask in school? Some states, yes. Some states, no. Some states, the governors have said, no way. Other states are like, you know what? We said no way, but maybe.
Masks is a key piece of this. It's something that will protect those who've been vaccinated who may not have gotten enough protection because of immune problem, and it protects children who can't get vaccinated yet. So allowing it to be an issue of personal choice is fine if it only affected your child, but it doesn't. It affects everyone around your child as well.
Yeah, that's true to a certain extent. If you've been vaccinated, what do you care if the person next to you? Well, I could get sick. You could, but the chances of that happening are slim. The reality is most people, right? They make it seem like that this, we've given out like 200 million shots and 175 million people are fully vaccinated, but pretty much every one of them has had a breakthrough case. And then you realize it's like 6,000. You're like, oh, are you sure? Because on TV, it seems like. You ever watch pro golf? See, I like golf. And it's funny. I talked to, I got a couple buddies who are currently find themselves on the PGA Tour, and we chat every once in a while and get out and play with them because I like to see how awful I am comparatively, and I'm not a bad golfer. But the funny thing is they'll tell you, the guy at home or the gal at home, they watch golf and they think that every shot we hit is a foot away from the cup. It's not true. TV's got to fill it up. So what are they doing? They got 100 people on the course. They're going to be great shots every time, but not from the same person, rarely. No. So what you're seeing from television makes you think that every putt falls in and everybody hits the ball where they want. And that's not the case. Just like with television, they make it seem like everybody that's on TV that's struggling with COVID is what everybody else is like who's had COVID. And that's not the case. But what this does do is this puts our rights in times, I'm going to say in jeopardy, but definitely teetering in certain areas where governments are looking at, should we do this? Should we do that? Can we mandate this? Can we mandate that? You start thinking to yourself, oh, I heard the M word, mandate. Takes away a bit of our liberty. And yeah, you know what? That guy, that doctor right there, he said something very, very smart that most people probably didn't pick up on. He said, your kid not wearing a mask could affect another kid. That's true. This goes back to what I've talked about, which is personal responsibility, which is being personally responsible. Saying to your children, look, they're masking up at school. You're going to wear a mask. Okay? Wear it responsible. Remember, Jenny's grandmother is potentially could get sick from this, or, so-and-so's dad is struggling with cancer. In theory, that person probably shouldn't send their child to school if they're that worried about it. But the reality is we make it seem like everybody is on television that's dying from this, and they say it's a number, but then you don't realize, you dig deeper and you're like, well, hold on a second. This guy had like cancer, and he had emphysema, and he had lung disease, and he had high blood pressure, and COVID with the banana peel on the ice. But they make it seem like it was just this guy running down the streets, the healthiest person in the world, and he sneezed, and all of a sudden, boom, he's in the hospital. He's got brain damage. He's never going to survive. It's all because of COVID. That's the fear factor. You can use common sense. You don't have to be an a-hole. And control around you what you think you can control. Because as we all know in life, nature in life will mess you up. So try to do the best you can. But that common sense thing, man, my goodness me. Always get frustrated when it comes to people not using common sense. Just looking around and going, you know what? Everybody at work is wearing a mask, and they've asked me to wear one. I may not agree with it, and I may bitch and moan a little bit about it because I've been vaccinated, and they're not going with the fact that they're looking at science and saying, well, we're doing what science says, when science really is, isn't doing that, isn't pointing towards that, but whatever. But I will pick and choose certain battles if I must. Too often we think that we should fight every battle, and you don't have to fight every battle. Sometimes you think to yourself, I'd rather win the war than fight this battle. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Infrastructure, Israel. Can they get a bill? Is it possible that we could see infrastructure pass sometime in the near future? It's a lot of money. Now, you've got the old ones and the new ones. By that, I mean you got the old guys out there who look at infrastructure and are excited about infrastructure, right? It's going to be union jobs, it's going to be all these things. We're putting Americans back to work, but it's going to cost a lot of dollar bills. And you got the new group that's like, yeah, let's do this infrastructure bill. And then behind, we're going to do the American Family Infrastructure Bill, which will be like $3.4 trillion. But even this infrastructure bill is huge.
Will you read all 2,702 pages of the infrastructure bill before voting on it?
I'm trying. But the bill's twice as long as the Bible. We got it Sunday night. I'm trying to read as much as I can. My staff and I have split it up.
And will any of your colleagues read the entire bill?
I don't know. The people who decided to do this way ought to hide their heads in a bag.
Yeah. It's nuts. Like 2,700 pages. 2,700 pages. That's our buddy Jim Kennedy, who always makes us laugh. I mean, John Kennedy, he always makes us laugh. Now, here's the other thing. The amount of money in it is incredible. Why does that matter? Because if we know politics, both at the local level and at the national level, and we see the way that Delta's going and the potential that maybe this winter Delta combined with flu is going to cause a freeze and slowdown again, that means government may be dipping into their pockets one more time. And to say that it's not going to affect anybody outside of high earners would be an absolute lie. How big could this thing get? Ted Cruz has some math.
When you add up the spending from December 2020 to now, with the Biden budget request, with the Democrats' tax and spend reconciliation proposal, with this infrastructure bill, with the so-called COVID relief bill, and with the emergency spending in December, you hit a whopping $9.5 trillion. That is 86 times the new spending on roads and bridges. You know, that's hard to wrap your mind around.
Yeah. Man. That's a lot of money. And we may not be finished based on the fact that we know government, and government loves to spend other people's money. And I go back to it. If you think it is only going to affect a certain group of people, as far as taxing and spending, think about all of the other trickle-down side of that economy. That every trickle-down doesn't work. Trickle-down works in government as much as it works in, they like to trickle stuff down. That includes bad. Think about inflation. Think about the weakening of the dollar. We're already dealing with some of that stuff. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Give Rough Greens to my dogs every single day. Get a teaspoon right on top, or supplement. Little teaspoon, little pinch, like a little paprika right there, a little cinnamon, paprika. Boom, boom, boom. They love it. It's got vitamins, minerals, vegetables. It's got all these amazing, incredible nutrients inside of there. And it brings their food to life. Omega-3, 6, 9. It helps with our digestive systems. And this is something that I don't think you guys realize. Joint pain. As your dog gets older, like all of us, right? A little sore when they get up. To start noticing when your dog's a little long in the tooth, maybe doesn't want to go for a walk like they used to. It's not quite the same. Well, guess what? This is going to give them a new lease on life. Rough Greens Canine VitaSmart. Try it before you buy it. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Try it before you buy it. You cover shipping. They're going to send you a bag for free. You can call 833-MY-DOG-77. 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
We will win or lose this race over the course of the next decade if we don't reduce emissions, if we don't have emissions by the end of this decade.
Climate change. Scary. Oh, it is. Yesterday, the IPCC. Sounds like a boxing belt. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages, in this corner wearing the IPCC belt. That is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC. You know what's funny about them? Governmental. What does government like to do? They like control. Government likes doing stuff. Government likes doing things. And control is one of those big things that they like to do. What's scary about that? Well, it's simple. I worry always about government because I know who's ever signing somebody's check usually has a motive in mind. Right? Go back to the movie Jurassic Park. He's out there doing his dig. In flies Richard Attenborough. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Right? And he's inside the little trailer there. And he's like, could I bother you to come out for the weekend? I've got this little place in Costa Rica. And so he does his thing. And they don't want to go. But he says, if you do come, I'll further your dig for another 3 years. They don't want to go, but they realize this is the guy that's paying their paycheck. This is the guy who's giving them money to dig. So when I look at stuff like climate change, it's hard for me to get behind a lot of what people say because, again, fear. Fear evokes emotion. Fear evokes anger. Fear evokes some sort of thing that can get you to do something. And that emotion, right? So fear is like, oh my God, I'm angry, I'm upset, I need to do something, I got to do something. I have to take an action. What's my action going to be? But how much of that is based in reality? There's no doubt, having 7.5+ billion of us on this planet, that we have more than once or twice screwed some stuff up. We've plundered a lot of stuff. We have done things that we shouldn't have done. We have treated this place at times like a trash heap. Not always, and we're getting better at it. But there's a ways to go. In saying that, I also realize that there's money in dire things. when you hear stuff like, we've only got 10 years left or it's over. It gets frustrating when you see that there have been reports that have come out that have not only contradicted what many of the UN and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Control have said. You step back for a second and you say, oh my God, these guys aren't really, what? So there's the frustration that I think people have when it comes to something like this. I look at climate change and I think we need to do something, but we need to be smart. And much like coronavirus, all too often than not, politics gets in the way of us trying to find solutions. And politicians get in the way because they realize there's control, power, and money in those quote-unquote solutions. And only they're the ones who know how to use it. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. We're going to have some fun with gender because we got a new one. Man, there's a lot of them out there. That's crazy. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
So the Olympics have ended. They are gone. Turn our attention to the NFL in the coming days and weeks. See how they handle the weird world of watching some of their stars who are very apprehensive in taking a vaccine, right? So they're very apprehensive in taking the vaccine. Some of them. They're not quite sure. In fact, I believe you go and you look and you're like, man, some of these, they are really pushing back. You saw that Kirk Cousins was dropped by a local hospital, that he was kind of a sponsor, it sponsored him and he did a bunch of stuff for them because he wouldn't say whether or not he got it. Lamar Jackson, by the way. Lamar Jackson talking about this. Now, he's had it twice. He's had COVID twice. But
I feel it's a personal decision. I'm just going to worry about that with my family, keep my feelings to my family and myself. I'm focused on getting better right now. I can't dwell on that right now, how everybody else feels. Just trying to get back in a great routine.
It's very interesting. Very interesting. Had to talk. A lot of these guys feel like they're getting pressured from other players on the team saying, dude, get the vaccine.
I just got off the COVID list. I got to talk to my team doctors and, try to see how they feel about it, keep learning as much as I can about it, and we'll go from there.
These guys, So with football here, it will be interesting to see how this works. Because remember, the I guess it was the threat by the NFL, which was essentially if your team has to forfeit the game, not only does your team not get paid, but the other team's players will not get paid either. They'll forfeit a game check. For most of these guys, that matters, right? We see these guys who sign massive contracts the other day. Josh Allen signs this huge, 195 million guaranteed or whatever, ridiculous. Look at the number that's guaranteed. Don't look at they could promise somebody $1 billion, but only 100 million may be guaranteed. That's all that matters. But those guys get a lot of that money up front, and the rest of it's smattered about throughout the rest of the contract. For a lot of these guys, though, out of the 53, probably 42 of them, 43 of them, that contract, that weekly paycheck matters. I think the NFL is going to give you one chance at a redo One chance at a redo. So if you test positive and you have too many players that you're going to have to postpone it because there's now 18 weeks instead of that because they've got that extra game, they'll give you one chance at a redo. This is what it's doing. This is how it's affecting our world we live in. And it's going to continue to do so for the foreseeable future because it's not going anywhere. It's going to be here for a while, this damn virus. Let's learn how to live with this thing, through this thing, around this thing, and above this thing. Now, with kids turning back to schools, it's not just masks that are pissing parents off. It's not. For a lot of people out there, you've got the CRT, critical race theory. If you don't know what critical race theory is, it's become the hot topic in conservative households and shows. Critical race theory is a body of legal scholarship and academic movement of civil rights, blah, 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 blah. They go through this whole, essentially what it is analyzing our past in a way where we teach everything, right? Not that just, Christopher Columbus sailed over here and everything was great. No, teaching all of it, including what took place during slavery time. I have zero problems with teaching everything. The problem I have with critical race theory is activist teachers, and you teach a portion of it, the portion that's damning more often than not, rather than talking about, look, this is where we were, and it was awful, and it was horrible. Let's see how far we've come. Let's see the strides that we've made. Let's see how that we've through the civil rights movement, how many groups and people were also swept up into it. And we never that rarely gets brought up into it. What it ends up being more often than not is a battle where you almost get to a point where you're pitting one child against another child based on the color of their skin, and it is not a good situation. It seems like a very woke thing, but it also seems like something where you say, hey, you know what? We need to teach this or something like this in a way that's real based on the age limit. Obviously, you're not going to teach the same thing to somebody who's in second grade that you might teach to somebody who's in 12th grade. But along the way, teaching them all of it, not just a portion of it that makes America look like crap. We got enough to go, man, that was crappy. We were awful there. But too many people out there want to go, well, that's where we should stop it, is we were awful and we're still awful.
This really started off in March when there was a group of folks in a private Facebook group, including 6 school board members, that were calling for targeting parents for speaking out against critical race theory. And that really motivated people across ideological lines, really everybody, to figure out what was going on in our schools. Why have we created a culture of bullying in our schools, in our community, that is affecting parents, it's affecting students, and it's really sort of tearing the community apart.
Yeah. And that's scary to think that parents are going to, and by the way, that's coming also, I think, in many cases with the mask, because you've got this a big debate and argument going on at school boards over my kid doesn't want to wear a mask or my kid wants to wear a mask, and school board members are getting involved, and they're human beings, and like everything else, human beings can be idiots, even school board members. But when you're talking about targeting parents who go, you know what? I don't know if I want my kid to learn this stuff. What is the curriculum? What are you teaching? Are you teaching all of it? You want to talk about teaching all of it. But when I see some of this stuff and when I hear from some of the teachers, my stepdaughter went to school last year where she walked into school in one of her classes. It was Black Lives Matter everywhere. There were all kinds of things for all kinds of groups. And she said it was a little uncomfortable for her. Oh, that's because she's racist. Yeah, I know. It's everybody's racist. We get that. But if that person is teaching from a perspective of and we've heard it, we've played it 100 times. How many teachers say, I'm not a teacher, I'm an activist. When you hear that, you're not getting all of the story. You're getting the story told by one side. We didn't need it taught by the other side or that side. How about we just talk about the facts? What happened? How did we get here? What have we done? What are the mistakes? How have we learned? How have we grown? Shouldn't be that hard.
There's a lot of people out here that are sending FOIAs to Loudoun County Public Schools, uncovering all these documents that really show the divisive nature of what they're trying to indoctrinate our teachers with, and then what our teachers would then indoctrinate our kids with. And it is really just appalling stuff. Teachers are fed up with having to go through these brainwashing sessions, and they just don't want to teach the kids this stuff. But here's the thing, they are petrified to come out and speak out because they fear repercussions from the school
union
system, from the school
district,
board,
everybody, right?
And the union.
Yeah. There are teachers out there that don't want to. By the way, there are a lot of teachers out there who, like a lot of people, I just don't want to deal with this. I just don't want to deal with this mess. I don't want to deal with this because it's more of a headache. And you're listening to a dad who calls himself regular dad. Just a regular dad, Ian Pryor. Just a regular dude. Frustrated about this stuff. And I've seen it with my little brothers, and I've seen it a bit with Jack. More so with my little brothers. Last year, my mom was like, what are you teaching my special needs 10-year-old? So my little brother, Elijah, if you met him, you thought, well, this kid seems pretty normal. Then you start to realize he's got Operation Defiance Order. So he pushes back on everything. It's not a good thing to have, by the way. And he struggles. He has horrific dyslexia. And my mom's walking by on their Skype session, and they're talking about this class is for the next 65 minutes. It's about all these things, and she's like, you know what? Teach him to read first. Let's get him through that portion of this before some other stuff. And I agree. There are some things where he's like, you know what? Let's work on other things. We're trying to get woke when people like China's trying to win. But that's how we do it in advanced society. No, what we're doing is we've advanced to the point now where we're picking ourselves apart because we've got nothing else to be pissed and angry about. There's no great war, right? That's climate change. That's that. So there's that, right? There's no massive evil battle. There's no Nazis. Communism's dead outside of China. And let's be real, China needs capitalism to sustain their communism. So there's no great threats. So we start making things up. We start finding things. And that's what people do. Young kids in particular, they find things all the time. First of all, they make stuff up. So we were joking about this the other day. I don't care what you identify as. I do not care. If you're a good human being, man, that's all that matters. Right? That's all that matters. If you're a good person. That's what I teach my kids. Are they good people? Yeah. And by the way, if somebody's a jerk, they can be a jerk, regardless of skin color, who they identify as, what gender they are, who they love. They could still be awful people. That's you're not exempt from everything. But what I do find funny is some of the insanity. So what do we have now? We've got a couple different sexualities, and everybody. I just think they're sitting around thinking we got to make some stuff up. How about this one?
Today's sexuality is trixic. Now, trixic is actually quite complex, especially since it's a new term. The basic definition is a non-binary person, no matter their orientation, who is attracted to women. But it's not always an exclusive attraction. The opposite of trixic is tauric, which is the same thing except attraction to men. Now, someone who's trixic can also identify as a non-binary lesbian or feminomoric, though feminomoric is an exclusive attraction to females.
What? I have no idea. Wait, what? Wait, huh? So you're a lesbian, or you're gay, or you're straight? No, I'm a trixit. No. So you just made that up. I don't even know what color flag that is. It's going to have the Trix rabbit on it? Oh, Chad. Well, okay, we got a new one now.
People who identify as abrosexual are fluid with their sexualities.
What?
Like gender fluid, abrosexual friends one day might feel pan, but then the next day they might feel asexual.
And a week later, they could just be gay.
Their sexualities are fluid.
Does this mean they're fluid with all the sexualities?
Some. Every abrosexual is different.
I'm glad to
It's not even real. You're just making stuff up now. You're just making things up now. Coming to a workforce near you. Again, just treat people nice, ask them what their name is, and you get on with your life. But as we always say here on the Chad Benson Show, we're going to treat you with kindness and respect. We're going to expect hard work out of you, but you get one. If you come in today and you want to identify as Nancy, fantastic. If you come in tomorrow and you want to be Nick, you get one. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Oh, Snickers, what have you done? What have you done? Where do you hear this? Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
Don't let fear run your life. It is not a winning proposition no matter what's happening. You're going to hear a lot of stuff about kids and masks and school and what should we do? Should they be masked? There's going to be all kinds of fights. Stand back. And if you have your kids going to school, say, what's best for my kids? What's best for me? If we have somebody in the home who's immunocompromised, who's got a situation where they have comorbidities, and it may be the spread of Delta could be a real issue, then maybe it's best that you say, you know what, let's batten down the hatches. Kids can do school from home. On the other side of things, you'll hear a lot of stuff. It's like it's deadly. It is something that spreads easy. But don't let that, and we've only got 10 years to win or lose when it comes to climate change. It's all meant to evoke emotion. That's why you ever watch Cars, commercials. What could we do to tease you and evoke an emotion? You ever watch that thing where I will remember, and you see the poor dog sitting there freezing and stuff? It evokes an emotion. Quick, pick up the phone. Let's give them $10 a month. So everybody's competing for your emotions and your dollars. Remember that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. I'm going to have to translate this for you. If you guys seen those commercials with Snickers, right? And they'll have somebody on there, and that somebody is like, just being awful. And it'll be like Richard Lewis, or it'll be, a famous star who's angry or upset, or, somebody's throwing a fit, and they go, dude, just have a Snickers bar. There's Snickers, and they, oh my God, and they come back to whoever they are. Well, I'm going to have to translate. This is Spanish. This will be a real rough translation because I'm not great at Spanish, but I'll do my best.
Entonces sería un agua con gas del tiempo, con una rodaja de limón, con vitaminas A.
Okay, what would you like to eat, my friend? Now, let me describe it for you. Tight pink shirt, long hair, very flamboyant.
A, B, y C. Abracitos, besitos, muat, y caricias around the world.
Wants to take him around the world, very romantic style. Ooh.
Anda, toma uno de los Snickers.
And, dude, what can I get you, other guy in the commercial?
Mejor.
Hands him a Snickers bar. So his friend has long hair, very flamboyant, tight pink shirt, hands him a Snickers bar.
Around the world.
When he comes back, he's fine. He eats a Snickers bar. Straight guy. They've pulled the ad. It goes back to nobody in the room at all. At the advertising agency, anywhere, thought, you think somebody might be offended by this? Nope. Nobody said maybe we shouldn't. Nope. Obviously not. You guys have a great day. We'll do it again tomorrow. Follow along across all social media At Chad Benson Show. As always, get yourself a taco. Night, night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.